Hello. Starting this again now. For some reason, it crashed. I don't know what happened. So let's start from the beginning. So this live is called The Lost Boys. And I haven't done a live for weeks because I've been away. And you may be thinking, oh, how he's been away, but he's still been online. I've still been managing to maintain all the posts and stuff, but I have actually been on Abraham Hicks Scandinavia cruise for 3 weeks. Hopefully you can hear me and you can write in the chat, because for some reason the live just crashed and I'm starting from the beginning, and some of you would have been in between anyway. So we'll start from the beginning. So I've been hanging out this weekend with my friend, and the one who had twins, right? I've been surrounded by babies. My sister's had a girl and my friend had a boy and a girl. Okay, beautiful. And around children, the innocence and the purity is so beautiful. And I'm feeling that need to have my own kids as well, actually. And under a healed divine feminine energy, under a divine feminine who's done their work, is grounded, embodied, unconditionally loving, children and animals are naturally gravitating towards you. Naturally, they want to hang out with you, they want to be with, they listen, because you're connected with your inner being, they're connected with their inner being, and it's beautiful. And when I have seen around me soulmates and how they work, and we'll talk about it later in a lot more detail, I'll still choose a twin flame any day. Any day I'll choose a twin flame, and I'll explain why. So in this lives today, I want to basically mainly talk about, in summary, about what's been happening in the last couple of weeks, because I'll explain stuff. Because then I want to go into psychology. I want to talk about Jung's philosophy, about the Peter Pan syndrome, also known as the Atunus archetype. And it will help us to understand why our DM behaves the way they behave, and why soulmates and other people that are attracted to us, why they behave the way in which they behave, okay? And when I was at my friend's house, she made me an iced matcha blueberry drink thing. And when she gave it to me, the machine was called Sage, right? And that was quite interesting, because if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that my spirit baby, my daughter, has been coming many times in the dream world and in plant medicine, saying that her name is Sage. And I had basically the psychology papers that I'm going to read out and go through today. I had looked at them already weeks ago, but I printed them out today, and I didn't realize, because when you look at the top, it says Sage, right? And I wanted to call my daughter Anouk, right, from the mummy, Anouk Sunamon, but she wants to be called a Latin name like her father. So I always say to Sage, honey, I'm ready. I'm ready to have kids. Get your daddy to sort himself out. He's trying to fix himself up. So it's all on him. So if you're watching, it's all on you. So before I get into the nitty-gritties, I also want to have a beautiful announcement. So if you remember, I said I was going to go to Bali, right? And a lot of you keep asking me, can we travel with you? Can we do this? Can we do that? Blah, 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 blah. And my work normally allows you to live and work from anywhere, but they're having a change in policy. So it was a slight like, oh, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? But thankfully, because we're doing the inner work, because we are helping Earth, because we're shedding our karma, we're doing good, good is given back. When you do good, good is given back to you. And my work has approved Bali. So I shall be going Bali from end of September till January. You're more than welcome to come visit, but also I'm doing my retreats. I'm going to talk about Abraham Hicks and why I have evolved past that, because some of you have been asking how that is, how the workshops are, how the retreats are, what the kind of people there are like there. I saw a follower, actually, one of the divine feminines who follows me was on the retreat. But basically, I've got to a point now where I need to do my own, okay? So I'm going to do the Bali retreat. I'll have, there'll be different things on offer, okay? So there'll be me, and some of you don't know this, but I'm trained and qualified in a lot of stuff, and it's all on my website, So I'm a neuro-linguistic programming trainer. That's what Tony Robbins does. I'm a master life coach. I'm also a master timeline therapist, master hypnotherapist, inner child healer, meditation coach, a yoga teacher. I've done Reiki, many things. They're all on my website. I can't even remember half of them, but also angelic light code healer as well. So I do lots of different healing modality practices. So the plan of action, and I've just got approved for Bali now, and I have to book everything and sort it out. But you'll have like a menu of options. So you can work with me. I'm going to get an actual shaman to be with us to do plant medicine if you want to do it. So I'm not trained in plant medicine right now. I hopefully next year will train. We'll see. But also I want to get a Balinese healer as well. So Balinese healer, like I've talked about these things, they look at your energy, they look at, various things, and they do healing with you naturally, face to face. Whereas the plant medicine, now it's going to be your choice, whether you want to do, which ones you want to do, whether you don't want to do, you can choose the package. But I want to start off a little bit more slowly, step by step, because in the future, I'll do a retreat in Tola, Mexico, where you can do Ibogaine, Bufo, and Cambo, which are more like the big boys. And then Costa Rica, where maybe you could do ayahuasca or San Pedro. But right now, and in England, you can do various things. I have a shaman here, which is amazing. And there's a farmhouse that we use in Shropshire, and we can do amazing things here too. But I'm thinking for Bali, let's start simple. Let's start easy, because I don't know where everyone is at. We'll have all the safety precautions, all the risk assessments done, everything medical there as well, because we don't want what happened to Maureen, God bless and rest her soul, in ayahuasca where she died, if you remember. And so basically, I'm thinking we'll do cacao, which is quite easy, and there's nothing really major to do with that. It's just like the raw form of the chocolate, right? And you drink not just a cup, but you drink a whole pot of it. And it does have a psychedelic effect. So it will have a psychedelic effect, and you'll see Mother Cacao, and you'll see various things, and it will help you, and the shaman will work with you. I'll be there too. So you'll have cacao. We'll also have rapé, which is the tobacco that you sniff up the nose, that they push into your nose, blow into your nose. Now with that, it clears your senses, spiritual, emotional bodies. It clears that and gives you clarity and allows you to be in 0 point, actually. And there's many other different benefits to it as well. And then there's also the option of psilocybin, which is mushrooms, which is also, good on lower doses. We don't have to do a huge dose. And then finally, it's psilocybin. Finally, it's Sananga, which is drops that you put in your eye, which sting a lot, but they help you with clarity internally, spiritually, externally. And also they help you with the birthing process for when you were born. You can go into a hypnotic state, and we can do stuff with that too. But the shaman that I have in mind, that I work with actually in the UK, has lots of things they're trained in. Lots of things. So there'll be lots of things on offer, and it will almost be like a menu. And once I'm ready with what we're going to do, I'll obviously promote it, and you can have a look at it. So you can say, if you don't want to do the plant medicine, because if you want to do plant medicine, you can't do it if you're pregnant or if you're a child, okay? Or if you've got any medical conditions, because people can die, okay? And it is a lot. People can have psychosis as well if they're not grounded and they're not ready. So prior to the retreat, I will be doing coaching calls with those who are booked onto the retreat, in order to basically get you prepared, to have the skills in place. Because when you're doing plant medicine, you need to have tools and techniques and grounded practices to be able to stay centered throughout it, okay? And then basically you can choose, if you want to do plant medicine, which ones or not, or whether you just want to work with me, whether you just want to work with the Balinese healer, or you just want to come to have a holiday and relax. That's fine too. And this open invitation is also to my twin flame, who I have a strong feeling that he'll show up. And he's very good with volleyball and obviously photography and DJing, and I can DJ too, but he'll probably do more of I've seen visions where he'll be doing more of the physical aspects, the fun stuff, okay? The out and about stuff. And I'll do the one-to-ones, deep healing work, and then we'll have a team doing other stuff. Eventually I might train as a shaman as well. So all hand in hand, we'll see how things go. It probably be 5 to 7 days retreat in Bali. And beware, okay? So flights from Europe and US to Bali cost over 1,000 usually, especially during that time, perhaps. And so you can book your flights early, and then the retreat's going to cost a bit, it's going to cost definitely above 1,000, I can imagine. Bali's quite cheap for sure. But if you want to work with, various plant medicines, healers with me, the insurances and all that kind of stuff, it's not going to be a cheap here and there and off we go. And I know with a lot of the divine feminines, there's so many issues with money and abundance and finance. And some of you hate money and have issues with it. But if you live on earth, unless you're a monk or nun under a bridge, you're going to have to use it. And we are injected into things on earth in order to alchemize it. So we go into it and we alchemize it. And money's not bad. It's the people who use it in the bad way that are bad. So I will talk about abundance in another live, about how why divine feminines especially are lacking money. A lot of it's to do with patriarchy. A lot of it's to do with templates of not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, and having a issue with money in itself. But as a twin flame, if you are a twin flame, okay, first of all, as you do heal and ascend, you're bound to have lots of money come to you. All the twin flames that I know who are in union, because some of you were asking me if I know any of them. Yes, I do. I know quite a few. They all are quite wealthy, actually. So yes, it will cost a bit, okay? I was calculating the other day, how much have I spent on my inner work in the last 2 years? I'm coming to nearly my 3-year anniversary in October, but in the last 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, 2.5 years, maybe I've spent about 60 to 80,000 pounds. That's a lot, so, but nothing is wasted, right? I'm not saying you have to pay that much. I'm just saying that the retreat that I'm going to do is not going to be very, very, you're going to have to save some money unless you're already in your abundance, which is good. But then when I do a retreat in Mexico, again, that's going to be pricey. Ibogaine is expensive. Bufo is not so expensive, but the retreat, but then you could come for just a few days, I guess. Costa Rica is quite pricey. The UK retreat would be perhaps less pricey because it's going to be in Shropshire. But yeah, retreats generally cost quite a lot. And if some of you have abundance issues and you're, oh, whatever, then there's loads of free videos you've got of mine, but I also do questions for £5. I do coaching, group coaching for £10, one-to-one coaching for £85, and then also I've got my twin flame in a union course with loads of healing modalities, which is £333, £333. So there's loads of options, There's loads of options. And if you have money blocks, you should ask yourself why. But we'll talk about that on another live. Anyway, so let's go back. So hanging out with lots of babies, lots of children, lots of innocent, pure, amazing individuals. And through that, my daughter is popping up everywhere. Sage. And I'm telling her, girl, get your daddy to fix up. I'm ready. I'm ready to have a child. Anyway, so before I went on this Scandinavian cruise trip, there's someone who I had dated in the past who now lives in Bali, who got in touch. And I only wanted to have a coffee to find out about Bali and what to do and plan it out. But this person was being quite flirtatious, sending, certain types of pictures and videos, which in the old me would have been like, ooh, but the new me is like, it doesn't scream for me self-worth. Anyway, then this person sent me a picture of them wearing a t-shirt which said loyal flames. And I took that as a sign from my higher self or twin's higher self to say, stay loyal. So I did, okay? But my twin flame reacted. He felt that I was getting attention. Also, he's been trying hard, God bless his soul, to make money and to live a divine life rather than distorted. And it's not providing the dividends yet. It will, of course. So he was feeling rejected, like throw the towel. So he did, after 1 year, he did a naked swimwear picture. But we all have one step back sometimes, 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. I didn't react. Body looks amazing. Clearly he's been working out. So pointer. Towards union, divine masculines tend to become more masculine. They tend to become more in their masculine grids. Their body gets more masculine, more muscular. Because before that, my twin used to have a little bit of, he's used to be toned, but a little bit of like kind of almost feminine features or whatever, but they become more masculine. So it's great. But karma was given by the universe and he lost a few followers. Right. So before I went on this Abraham Hicks thing, I knew that I was going to meet someone. I just felt a high level soulmate was going to show up. Just felt it, right? Sometimes you do. But some of you ask, what are the cruises like? Okay. Now, if you're a divine feminine who's done your inner work, you're grounded, you've surrendered, you've, aligned yourself, you're living in a high vibrational state in 5D in love, unconditional love, it's going to be too basic for you. And I've been questioning this for the March cruise and then this cruise, like, do I really need to go? After my plant medicines, because plant medicines is like 10 years therapy in one session. It takes you to another level. The thing is, Abraham Hicks themselves are not basic. It's the people who come there, who are earlier on in their journeys. They are not very grounded. Their questions are quite basic and repetitive from what is already on YouTube. And they're seeking outside. They're quite anxious and they're not knowing how to allow. Whereas us divine feminines have transcended all of that. And therefore, that's why I want to do my own retreats. I bumped into Esther Hicks a few times. And when she bumped into me, she's like, oh my God, how beautiful you are. It's the energy. It's the aura. And all that kind of stuff, okay? I've outgrown it. I feel like I've outgrown it. And there's quite a few gay guys that go on these cruises, and they triggered the hell out of me. But men will get triggered by you, and you will trigger them too. All right, people in general. Okay, so on my first ever cruise, which is when I went before I met my twin flame. Okay, before I met my twin flame, literally, I met my twin flame as soon as I got off my first ever Abraham Hicks cruise in October 2022. There was an old lady that was on that cruise, and in my culture, we help old elderly people. And that woman kept bumping into her, and she's like, "Hold my bag, do this." She was kind of a bit rude. I helped her. I was nice. Some people made a rumor that I was an escort. I was a prostitute, which I'm not, saying that she had hired me. And I'm giving you these informations in case you want to go on Abraham Hicks workshops, because some people are distorted there. Some people are lovely, right? But some people, they will be triggered by your energy. Yeah, if you're beautiful inside, outside, they got to find a fault with you. You know, they got to find a fault with me. Like, how can he be attractive and happy and positive? He's got to be a prostitute. So that was a rumor going about. And I only found out that now after my 8th cruise that I was deemed a prostitute. How wonderful. And this is the narrow-mindedness. This is the judgment. This is the shallowness. This is all the things, right? So on one of the cruises later, I met this gay guy from Italy who never spoke to me, but he judged me straight away. The way I look, the way I sound. He thought I was a bitchy, gay, hot guy and blah, 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 blah. And it's his own issues, right? And he was in the hot seat this time round talking about when he goes to clubs, he gets really triggered by all the men. And it's his own judgments, people projecting on you. Because your light is going to be so high, it will shine on their shadows. And they will get very triggered, and they will actually project loads of things to put you down. That's why a lot of twin flames who are in union actually live hermit lifestyles. They don't really go out much, and a lot of them, they have to shield their energy, because your energy, not only, imagine when it's 2 of you together, it's so high, people are really attracted to you because your energy is closest to God, to source. You're like gods and goddesses on earth. So they want to have sex with you, and they want to be with you, but they also want to tear you down or run away from you because you're bringing out all that stuff. That's what your DM's feeling, right? They're feeling really conflicted and confused because your light triggers people. So that gay guy had been saying to me that I was too intense, right? But that's not my issue. That's obviously his issue and his insecurities. And people might say that to you as well, because they cannot bear to be themselves fully, for their masks to fall, to face themselves, just like the DM, right? And we'll talk about the psychology of it in a moment. So when I told people this time around that I don't think I will be going back again, some of them got sad, some of them were crying, and some of them felt like they owned me, right? Because familiarity makes them contempt. But I've realized that I need to bring my own sense and reason to the mix, and that's why I'm doing my retreat. But you'll get there too. You'll get to a place where you transcend your teachers. I mean, some of you are even more advanced than people that I know, okay? So you use your own, you become your own guru. You become your own teacher. You don't need to rely on others afterwards. I mean, even with me, you'll probably ditch me, I don't know, soon. So that's how it is, because you are becoming in your own power. So there was a divine feminine that follows me that was on the cruise ship. And she was like, oh, I'm done with my DM and I want to meet someone else. And she did meet someone else. Whether that person is right for her or not, that's for her to decide. I mean, I have my own thinking and thoughts behind that. But she said she speaks with angels. And she said to me, Manny, the angels are saying you need to be with the muscly guy that was in the hot seat. Now, the muscly guy is my friend. And just a friend, okay, mind you. And the muscly guy was a total slut. And I knew that. I never said it, though. But the muscly guy would sleep with all the people on every ship, in the toilets, here, there, and everywhere, whatever. And yeah. And I remember once after we finished one of our cruises and we landed in Barcelona, he wanted to go to a club because he wasn't very secure about it and stuff. And as we went in, one really cute muscular guy was after me, and I was like, okay, cute. I went to the toilet and I came back and he started making out with that muscular guy. So this is the kind of thing that you can find with these people that are triggered by your energy, okay? So basically, a lot of these people, because you as a divine feminine, once you have ascended, once you have anchored and grounded and really done the work, you are on another level. You're on another planet. You are another species on this earth, okay? And all the other people are going to be so triggered by you, so triggered. They're going to be in awe, but also kind of jealous as well. So there were many gay guys on the workshops, and a lot of them are uninvolved. They're lost boys, and I'm talking about lost boys because I'm talking about your DM, because they're like that. Okay, they're uninvolved, they're collapsed beings, but your DM will overcome that because they have to. So there was another, before the first cruise I went to, which is before my twin flame. I met an older guy who was in his 40s, and he wanted to take me on a date. I was like, okay, this was way before, before I met my twin. And he invited me to date to the buffet. And I never knew it was the buffet. And he invited other people to sit with us, and he kept talking to them, and he ignored me, and he kept talking about how he wanted to be with a married guy. And I walked out. But since then, he's apologized on certain cruises. And on this cruise, he wanted to hang out, and he spoke to my roommate. She's like, yeah, whatever. She asked me, and I said, it's fine. We can be friends. But he still hadn't changed. He said he wanted to be with a partner to pay for his bills. He wanted a boyfriend to pay for his bills. But he still was looking around. He had a wandering eye, and kept talking about that as well, which shows to me how quickly divine feminines and divine masculines do evolve past all of these things. These people are spiritual people. They've been doing workshops and events for years. They're in their 40s, 50s, whatever their age, and they still haven't gone past the issues and the traumas and the childhood stuff that we do. This is what makes me really grateful to be a twin flame, because back in the day I would have been similar. Okay, but we make quantum shifts and jumps. But there was one gay guy on the cruise ship who was kind of cute, right? It was a Polish guy, 30, closeted, with his mother who had cancer. So not loads of red flags there. And he was petrified of my energy, petrified. And he was kind of like dancing on the dance floor sometimes at silent disco, and he'd go in his own world. And people think he's so confident because he's dancing so well, but we see through it, right? A confident person connects, invites, smiles. This person was really in their own world, going and taking out all their frustrations and anger, and you could feel the childhood trauma. But we as divine feminines trigger these people because they're hiding themselves. They don't even want to be with themselves. So that's kind of interesting. But you will see through every bullshit, everything. There was also an American guy who was kind of into me, but he had loads of issues. Because your aura as a divine feminine, once you've done the work, now I'm going to be very particular with you here, because I don't like this thought that, oh, we're all healing together and I can sit on my ass, eat chips, watch TV, do no work, fantasize and romance and be in like depression or whatever's going on, and then somehow I get a free pass and I ascend with the wave that I'm in. Are you crazy? If you don't do the work, you do get pushed. You do get pushed, and you get tower moments and ego deaths, but still you have the free will. The DMs hold on. They hold on like no tomorrow. They don't want to heal. The DMs don't want to heal. They don't want to face their issues. They want to hide all that stuff, right? But God and the universe blast them to go forwards. But still, there is that element of free will. In the end, they still have to be in so much pain to go forwards. Now, as divine feminine, it's the same thing. Ideally, you need to be so balanced and stable and healed, because the DMs will always try to trigger you and figure out whether you sway this way or that way. And if you've got issues and problems and addictions and all sorts of other things going on, game over. They win, you know? And it's not like winning or losing, but in a way it is. We want to win for love, right? And they're testing you to get to your purest place. Like, someone posted a comment saying, oh, Manny, I wish your DM forgives you for what you done, and how you say bad things about DMs on the internet, okay? But, okay, maybe I do sometimes, but you don't know what I've gone through, okay? You don't know how much. I've had a tough one. I'm kind of grateful for it now, because he pushed me so much that it pushed me, got me out of, you know, I'm not a lazy person anyway. I work nonstop, but like, he pushed me so much more than anyone else. And once I got to that place, now he is ascending. So it's good. On a bigger scale, yes, it was an ego battle, but on a bigger scale, it really pushed me to go forwards. And the posts that I do, if they really are not in alignment, and God wouldn't allow them, okay? All my posts and things I write, they're all synchronistically, divinely allowed, because they're meant to trigger, okay? I trigger DFs, I trigger DMs, I trigger people because I want you to get out of your restrictions. I want you to heal, okay? If it was a problem, like the live got shut down earlier for some reason, God or the universe will close the post. delete it. Something would happen, okay? If something was not allowed or not meant, it wouldn't be allowed. It wouldn't happen. So my DM put me through hell. Yes. And sometimes I put him through hell too. But not as much, I don't think. I don't know. But everything is done with love, especially on a deeper level. And I even understand when he was doing things, it was from a deeper level of love from the higher self, okay? Even though the ego was reacting. So your aura, once you've done the work, healed and risen, starts to expand. And this can trigger and attract people at the same time. Your light shines on their shadows and unresolved issues, making them fear you. A lot of those attracted to, and also remember, a lot of those people who are attracted to these workshops come from difficult childhoods, and they are still finding themselves. They are finding themselves, though. They don't know themselves. They don't know what they want. They're mixed, confused. They're not tethered. They're not grounded. Their head is in the clouds due to childhood damage. And a lot of DFs, distorted feminines, are like this. And I'll give you an example later. They're just in la la land, fairy tale land, not with it. Okay, and that's when they're having, oh, he's sexually attacking me in the astral. He's doing this, he's doing that. Yes, because you're not doing a purpose. You're not grounded. You're not healing. You're not doing the work. That's what's DM is all over you. So these kind of people, they steal other people's energy. They're all smoke and mirrors. They try to copy you. And their sweetness only lasts for a second and it dissolves because there's nothing to them. They're shallow. They're energy vampires. They see what you as a divine feminine perceive to be good and they think they need to do that and steal it. Yeah. So like I told you about the muscle guy in Barcelona, he took one of the guys that was interested in me and started making out with him. Even with this Polish guy that I said was attractive, like it was silent disco. My friends wanted to dance and I didn't really care. And I was in this, and he saw us. He doesn't dance. The muscle guy, he saw me dancing next to the Polish guy, came running down, got in the middle of us so nothing would happen. I mean, I knew from a higher self perspective, I was getting downloads. As soon as he told me he had went on a date with him, that nothing was going to happen. Just knew. But you just let people play out their madness and their childhood issues and don't react. When people are around the divine feminine who don't know themselves, they can get weird. They try to stamp over your sensibilities and your truth, and they try to make you think, gaslight you, to think you are the problem. But honey, you ain't the problem. They're the problem. So don't take it personally. Don't think it's something to do with you that you need to heal. Because you get to a point where you are healed, okay, and you are aligned. And even with the DM, and they're doing silly stuff, but it's because they're figuring themselves out. I mean, my DM doesn't do any silly stuff now because I feel I'm pretty much there. But we all have slip-ups, and that's allowed, okay? It is allowed. So you as a divine feminine will take off people's masks with your aura, and you can see through them. And those who are not ready for that, for your truth, for your energy, they're the ones who don't know who they are, who are hiding, will be triggered. And that's why your DM runs away. Because someone asked a question, I says, your DM is obsessed and scared of you at the same time. And they're like, why is he scared for me? Well, why is he running? He's not scared of you. He's scared of that which your energy exposes within him that he's not willing to deal with. But he has to deal with it. So these people can't handle you. They feel threatened by you. They have fickle egos. They have feet of clay. They're not grown up. They have no depth. And they want to puff themselves up by your attention. They want attention from you. Yeah. They want the reflected glory of you wanting them. That's what the DMs like too as well, right? They love it when you are just obsessing over them and they can carry on doing their madness. It puffs them up. It's the ego. But inside they're collapsed. There's no substance. They're childish. They don't know themselves. It's not a rejection of you. They are tantalized by your energy, but they are scared. It's their issues, not yours. You know, I got triggered though, because I was like, oh, is it something to do with me? Like, why does the hot Polish guy don't want me? Nothing to do with me. You know, I should have stayed in 0 point. It's a rejection of their own selves. Just like the divine masculines. The divine masculines reject themselves. And that's why they reject you, because they cannot deal with themselves, their whole selves, their ugly selves and their beautiful selves. They reject themselves and thus they inadvertently reject you. So we don't need to invest in those people who give so little to themselves. You know, they have so little to give to you. Investment in the divine masculine, however, is always worthwhile because they always level up and join you. So I'm going to give you an analogy, and I've done it before, about soulmates versus twin flames. So soulmates will never be the same frequency. But let's give an analogy. If you're renting a house from a landlord, you are always giving your money away. every month you're giving the money and it's lost, right? You pay for the rent, it's gone. It's not invested in yourself. That's a soulmate because you're always giving the energy away. It's two separate souls, never on the same frequency. Even if you're high level soulmates, you as a twin flame will have always a higher frequency. With a twin flame, it's like owning your own damn house. You are putting money every month in a mortgage, or maybe you bought it outright, okay, into your own house. And therefore, that money is going to double and it's going to get more and it's always going to be there for you. That's the twin flame. Because as you heal, they heal eventually. And when you are with your twin flame, sexually or otherwise, you are not transferring any karma. You're not transferring any trauma because it's all been bubbled up and it's dissipated and it's gone away, right? It's been emptied from you. So you're not contaminating each other. But with a high-level soulmate or a soulmate, they will always have their own issues because as you heal, they don't heal unless they do their work. And there's so many blind spots, okay? There's so much unconscious debris. There's so much ancestral karmic stuff. As a twin flame, you do so much. High-level soulmates will never cut it. So with them, when you sleep with them or when you hang out with them, there's always that danger, which will always be there, where you absorb their toxicity. You absorb their energy. You absorb their negativities. You absorb their ancestral karmic issues, their own blocks. And then you'll have to alchemize them and resolve them within you. And if they don't heal themselves, that will still be in them still, unless they get rid of it. So you'll be always taking on other people's shit and becoming dirty. Now, some of you might argue with me and say, no, Manny, I have a soulmate. He takes me to the moon. Good. That's fine. You can have a different perception, but this is what I know from my perspective. So it's always better to not have the energy leaks, right? So be with your twin flame. Always divine masculine. So for me, I'll always say DM, DM, DM. I know how hard it is. I know it's worth it in the long run. Now, if they're not healing and you haven't gone all the way and you haven't ascended, then maybe you've got more work to do, or maybe you're not a twin flame. Okay. So at that time when I was on the boat, I felt rejected, didn't I? When all these men were rejecting me and acting silly. And so I kept feeling my DM's energy everywhere. And I was wearing outfits. I'll show you. I'll have some amazing outfits and I'll put pictures in the months to come. And my DM, he loves all the outfits. He's Italian. He likes modeling and all that stuff. So I could feel him just looking at me and being all around me and comforting me when I was sleeping in the corridors and about in the ship. And also when I got out, when I was in the supermarkets, twirling me around, twirling himself around. We're having a great romantic, like higher self connection relationship. Even on the, like in the streets, I had tears in my eyes. Now, what was the reason that I felt the energy? Why was I feeling the energy so strongly? Okay. Well, like I explained earlier, DMs reject themselves. Okay. They reject themselves. That's why they're not with you. They don't feel worthy. They don't feel good enough. So they're not, dealing with their own selves and their own issues. So when they reject themselves, they're on a certain frequency. Now, if you feel rejected by others, you are on the same frequency. So you meet each other and you'll see their higher self a lot. But if you stay in the frequency of unconditional love and high vibration, they can only come to you when they match that energy of unconditional love and high vibrational frequency. Okay? Until that happens, you'll have separation. Okay, good. Because there's an overlaid template because you understand each other. That's what's happening when you're a vibrational match. Okay? Right, so then one of my friends felt quite betrayed and rejected by me, which wasn't the case really. So what happened was, after all this triggering was happening, when we were leaving the boat, I was going to stay in Amsterdam for a week and she wanted to hang out for a few days. And I was like, well, I've got my own apartment, I need my own space, right? I need to go. And then she just got really worried. She's a twin flame too, but in her distorted energy, very worried. And then the outside, we did hang out and there was this fire breather and she was really into him and he was into me. I was into him. And so she felt quite rejected and betrayed. Because everyone, when you're a divine, healed feminine, they're after you. They want you. And it's terrible sometimes. So you have to protect your energy, okay? So my friend was very, chaotic energy, no boundaries, leaky, distorted, not having the inner divine masculine with the boundaries. Yeah. So when I put a boundary in place that I need time, it triggered her. So she felt rejected and felt childish. Now that could be the case with some of you. Some of you in your distorted feminine energies don't have boundaries, perhaps are all chaotic. Yeah, a feminine energy that's not in her divinity is chaos, chaos energy. And the masculine, inner masculine, brings that structure to the chaos. If you're all over the place, you're in your distortion. Okay. If when someone puts a boundary in, so when the DM puts a boundary in or rejects you, blocks you, and you get childish and immature, then that's again distorted. And then there was a couple that I was friends with who was suggesting to me to go back to their hotel to do stuff, and I just couldn't believe it. All that was going on. Okay. And then remember I said to you that I thought I was going to meet a high-level soulmate? I did. He was very anxious when he met me. And it's interesting because it's very difficult for someone to actually fully like penetrate my energy, come into my sphere, because they're attracted, but from afar usually, because they get very triggered. Okay. And this might be the same case for you. That's why most of us are always celibate. And I've been, celibate since December. And this guy was very anxious. And whenever I meet a soulmate, a high-level soulmate, I know whether it's someone else's twin flame, a divine masculine, high-level soulmate, and I also get the past lives and I figure it all out. And they always come and show me where my twin flame's at. They always mirror to me where he's at. Like in the past, I've had those who were running away from things or doing this or doing that. The soulmates always show me where my DM's at. And this one had such an interesting life. He was very anxious, but then we talked a lot. And we both felt like the innocence and the purity, and we knew we were soulmates. So he knew it too, and it was really interesting. And it was just for that moment done and dusted. But basically, what was interesting to understand from him was he grew up in a very violent household. His mum ran away, left the kids there. They all went into foster care. The parents all died. He became into addictions. He became addicted to drugs. Then he had lots of therapy. Then he had a lot of inner work. And he grounded himself, and now he's a farmer and he works with animals, and he is focused on his emotions and taking care, but he has money issues, and that completely mirrors, I think, where my twin flame's at. So it shows progress. It shows that I think I know my twin flame is very much ready, but it's just the money thing and the not feeling worthy thing. So that was quite interesting. But like I say, be careful who you share your energy with. Unless it's your twin flame, okay? Because anyone else, you collect their traumas, even just by hanging out with them, okay? You can collect their unhealed wounds. And you have to, especially us as divine feminines who have done the work, okay? Who are in peace and bliss all the time, are feeling a magnetic energy. We can take on people's stuff. And we have to ground, we have to have boundaries and cleanse ourselves so we don't take this on, because otherwise we will get into that cycle again. It's so much better to just be with your twin flame. This is my perspective. You can choose what you like, but from the energetics of it and how things are transferred energy-wise, it's better to be with your twin flame, always. Okay. Because the DM will always be in the same place in the inner world, so there's no passing of traumas. You're always trauma-free. Now I'm going to go into the psychology of what I've talked about, because I gave you a little summary of my life. I'm very open book, but maybe that was interesting, maybe it was boring, I don't know. But we're going to talk about Carl Jung, psychologist, okay? We're going to talk about lost boys or the Peter Pan syndrome. And this is what your DM is doing. This is what a lot of these men are doing, these lost boys, these collapsed people, even women are doing, okay? It's not just the men. When you're in your distortions, they also are that way too. Okay, so it's called Pure Aternus, or for the woman, it's Puella Aterna. It's the eternal child archetype. Okay, it's the Peter Pan syndrome. And it's actually becoming more common in the world. It's very distorted, narcissistic, self-absorbed, unevolved, childish sort of way of being is becoming very, very, very much a thing now. And what are the consequences of it in this society? So it comes from the Latin words, which means eternal child, okay, from the psychiatrist Carl Jung. So in mythology, the eternal child is a child god who doesn't age. It comes from Ovid's Metamorphoses of the 8th century. In the story, it describes a child god called Iacchus, and he's referred as the pure Eternus. So the pure Eternus is the masculine. It's similar. It's got a similarity with pure animus, meaning the masculine child within an adult. So the man-child, okay? The feminine is the puella aterna or puer anima, meaning the feminine child within an adult. The distorted feminine, that when someone does a boundary or when someone throws their prams out and gets all moody and annoyed and sulky. Okay. So Carl Jung says, the eternal child in a man is an indescribable experience, an incongruity, so not congruent, not aligned to who you truly are, okay? It's a handicap, it's a disability, a divine prerogative, an imponderable that determines the ultimate worth or worthlessness of a personality. And this is why your DMs feel unworthy, and I'll explain it, and it comes from the mother. A lot of it does, okay? Psychologically, this archetypal pattern refers to a person who is still a child, a man-child, even though they're an adult, okay? So another term is the Peter Pan syndrome. So forever child, forever boy, never grown up. So you've got Peter Pan, child god, man-child, Don Juan syndrome, eternal child, the addicted lover, inner child, eternal youth, forever, loads of different words from it. The pedal son, mama's boy. Okay, mine's Italian. They're all mama's boys. Okay, so let's address this. So it basically refers to the psychology of a 17-year-old stuck in an adult body. So still a teenager. And you would notice that a lot of the DMs are like that. A lot of the DMs are like little boys. And they haven't grown up. And they are just handicapped, disabled on their mother. Okay, so they live a provisional life. So it's a possessed man lives a provisional life. So at a deep subconscious level, they feel like they haven't entered adulthood. They haven't entered the real world. So they're not even equipped to deal with the real world. So when we talk about having a conscious relationship, which is what we want as divine feminines, we want marriage, we want kids, we want purpose, scares the fuck out of these DMs, okay? Because they don't know who they are. They're lost inside, okay? So in the mind of the pure archetype, there's always more time. They always feel there's more time, right? That's with you as well. With the DMs are always saying, oh, she's always going to be around, waiting around. And as soon as you get with another man, or you get into a relationship, or you move on, or you start obsessing, they freak out, okay? So they say they'll do something about it one day. Doesn't matter. It's the eternal procrastinator, okay? It's like someday, which is never. So the Peter Pan, they only want to experience pleasure. They are obsessed with pleasure, hedonistic lifestyle, which is like drugs, sex, rock and roll, okay? They want to have fun. They want to watch TV, play video games, watch pornography, play with their penis or whatever, get high on drugs, eat food, and enjoy and pleasure themselves. They don't really want to have any responsibilities and grow up. It's too much. They're handicapped. They live in a fantasy world of pornography and media and addictions. They're waiting for the real life to start one day. So why not just pleasure themselves whilst they're waiting? They hate boundaries, okay? They fear that they will be caught into a situation, a trap that they cannot escape. But the funny thing is, they're already in a trap. And the divine feminine actually frees them, liberates them from all restrictions and impurities and blockages and blocks within. They don't realize that, because when a divine masculine actually gets into union with divine feminine, they live a free life, but they think that we're going to control them. Just like their mother, it's the mother complex. This is a fear projection from his psychic inner world, as he is already in a situation he cannot escape. He believes he wants his independence right now, but he's far from true freedom in this situation where he's at. Due to his lack of internal structure, he hates boundaries and limitations. He doesn't want to apply discipline, take responsibility, or commit to a relationship, or experience the discomforts of learning and development. However, all of these aspects are part of being a mature adult, and therefore you need the boundaries, right? So the pure Aternus suffers from this grandiose idea. I'm so amazing, the narcissist, okay? So they go through ups and downs, like bipolar. So they have grandiose ideas, and then they have depression. They want to be admired and be elevated, and then they fear that, losing that, so they crash. They're constantly in addictive patterns. So he is merely the archetype of the eternal youth god, and therefore he has all the features of the god. He has a nostalgic longing for death. He thinks of himself as something special. He is a sensitive one amongst all the other tough ones. So they have a grandiose idea of themselves, inflated ego. He will have a problem with any aggressive, destructive shadows which he doesn't want to face, basically, and projects those. There is nothing special whatsoever, actually, about this behavior. The greater the identification with this youthful God appearance, the less the individual will actually feel special, because they know that's not the truth. So they're always trying to pretend and act. They're very sensitive emotionally. Now, DMs are very sensitive people. You have to be so careful what you say, how you say it. I mean, I know on this channel I said all sorts, but they don't like it. The slightest thing you say to them that kind of makes them insecure. Okay. They're very emotionally sensitive, and it's a lot of societies like this actually now. They have a false sense of individualism, that they are so special and they're above everyone else, but they're not. They feel entitled. That's why they think when you're giving them the energy and you're obsessing over them, they think that you should worship them. That's what they think. So the Peter Pan wants to feel good, be free, but at the same time not commit. Okay. Psychologically, the pure Aternus means the man. Psychologically, the possession of the pure Aternus means that the man is bound and gagged. So actually they're actually tied up. They're not free. They're unable to be in their healthy masculine energy, which is where their internal power comes from. They're cut off from source, and this causes them lots of suffering. There are a lot of mental health issues, a lot of body issues, anxiety, depression, you name it, bipolar. So in the dreams, they find themselves in situations that they cannot escape. So they might have a lot of dreams of being imprisoned, or like wild animals chasing them, trapped behind bars, because it's their unconscious self saying to them, you think you're free, but eating pizza, playing games, and playing with your cock whilst at home, living with your mother, is not actually freedom. So again, while their pure Aternus wants to be free and independent, this conscious drive is masked by a deeper psychic truth. He's already bound and caged. He actually is not free, okay? The DF frees him, but he doesn't realize that. He thinks the DF is going to control him and possess him. But actually, true freedom comes from when you're out of your ego and out of the traumas that are dictating your current patterns. Because that's why you're in the loops. Once you're out of that, you're free of everything. Life itself. So it comes from the mother complex, okay? The adult male has a high dependence on the mother psychologically. Psychically, he's bound to her. And when this occurs, the man is incapable of caring for himself. He lacks the structure to be a mature man. Okay? Jung highlighted this. It comes from unresolved mother issues. Okay? And obsession with that too. And it can turn into homosexuality, but also Don Juanism. So some DMs have been homosexual, even the straight ones. That there has been cases of that. So it says this is what Jung said, okay? Homosexuality results with the obsession with the mother is so intense that the man cannot imagine having sex with anyone else, any other woman. But man they can, but woman they cannot. And then the other thing that can happen to them is either homosexual or Don Juanism. That means that the man is in a never-ending quest to find the perfect woman, because they think no one else is going to be as perfect as their mother, and they're looking for a goddess. And so they're constantly looking and they're not actually satisfied. So when you come into their life, they're still looking. Okay. And there's a story. So basically this is where it's played out with pornography, because you'll see all these pornographic websites, OnlyFans, all this kind of stuff. It's a mega billion-dollar industry, and it relates to the Don Juan syndrome. The pure Aternus possessed man is on an endless quest to find his ultimate woman, because no one's going to match up to his mother, right? And a woman like that doesn't exist. You as a divine feminine do, but obviously you're too challenging for his ego. And that's why pornography becomes real for them, and prostitutes and flings and all that sleeping around. It becomes a way of them kind of trying to find that perfect woman, but they don't commit to any of them because they're always looking. So as Jung points out, to a young child, the mother is the goddess and the father is the god. And in normal development, what's supposed to happen is as you grow older, you understand that they're not god and goddesses and they're just human beings. But with these individuals, they get stuck in that place. That differentiation never happens. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Then there's a story about the mother who basically marries the son, okay, makes the son into a husband. And that does happen in the psychologically. They make the son into everything, okay? So there's one story from Babylon called Yumina Ailish. And in this, basically, there's a boy called Tiamat, and he basically, no, Tiamat is the mother, and she has an indescribable power, and she's chaotic. And no one can defeat her, none of the gods. And then basically, she created the 12 constellations. From one of them is her son, Kingu, and Kingu becomes her spouse, her husband. And that's from a Babylonian story. And then there's another story, which is from the Oedipus Rex, okay, from 429 BC in Athens. So Oedipus, so there's the Oedipus complex, okay, and for the girls it's Electra complex, where basically Freud said that the boy wants to marry his mother and the girl wants to marry her father. That's the psychology of it. So in this story, basically, Oedipus does not know his true parents at birth and ends up, without knowing, killing his father and marrying his mother. Freud talked about this. He says in an early stage, young boys are drawn to their mother and they compete with the father for the mother's affection, and boys secretly want to possess their mother and replace the fathers, hence the Oedipus complex. And with girls, it's Electra. And in this situation, it's not the body that is possessed, but it's the archetype of that mother. Okay, they want that goddess, that perfect. So that really messes up with their mind because they haven't grown up. Okay. In the Oedipus complex, if it's left unresolved, it can also happen when you have a passive or weak father as well. So the boy kind of psychologically becomes wedded to the mother. And that can lead to two things, the addicted lover and the impotent lover. So what is the addicted lover? So the addicted lover is a sense of lostness, lost in the way in which they're just looking for pleasure and they're locked into that. Fully possessed by the feelings, we can't separate them and ground ourselves into reality. The addictive personality comes in, eating, smoking, drinking, sex, masturbation, drugs, addicted lover, a lot of DMs, okay? What the addict is seeking is the ultimate and continuous orgasm, the continuous high. They want the next high, the next high, the next high. And the addicted lover is the active side of the lover archetype, whilst the impotent lover represents the passive side. The impotent lover possesses us, then they feel void, they feel down, sterile, lacking aliveness. So it's that yo-yoing of ups and downs, okay? So there we go. And it's all triggered by parents. How? So the child can only respond to the environment they are brought up in, the psychic environment. And what happens is a failed marriage. So most marriages are not successful, unfortunately. So what happens is if a father and mother are actually in a balanced, healthy marriage, they are healthy adults, then this complex, the pure Eternus, does not manifest. Okay? Because what happens is generally people get married too young or to the wrong person and the cultural pressures, and therefore they haven't got the psychological maturity to be able to have a proper relationship. In a proper relationship, the husband would have the boundaries and would respect the wife, and therefore the son wouldn't need to compete because there will be a balance, right? So what is the psychology of the parents? When the father is absent or lacks healthy masculine energy, this is when it happens. But if the man is grounded and content with his wife because he has a divine masculine energy within himself, then the wife feels secure. She doesn't need to long for her son or want another person to help her. But if the woman is insecure, neurotic, depressed, fearful, that creates the conditions for the pure Eternus to manifest in the child. The mother establishes the conditions for the eternal child and the son husband. Okay, this is kind of deep stuff, so hopefully it's resonating. So in her insecurity, she will unconsciously project husband onto her child and psychically wed him because she secretly believes he's the only person who won't hurt her. She's created him. Only he, her son, will remain faithful, just as Kingu from Tiamat's story. The confused boy has no choice but to comply. For one, he is still projecting a goddess archetype on his mother. Secondly, he depends on his mother for his basic needs. So he's kind of locked into that program, okay? The mother clings onto the son as her source of love and joy, and that leads to the mama boy archetype. This is the psychology of the Don Juan archetype. Under these conditions, the mother praises the son, telling him he's so special, which gives him that narcissism, that grandiose idea of he's amazing. I mean, with my DM, I believe that the mother was a narcissist and she was like, oh, he's so beautiful. He is. And rejecting everything else about him and then just putting the focus on that, right? And that kind of makes them feel really ego inflated, emotionally bound, and physically wed, psychically wed to the mother. And in adulthood, they basically cannot get rid of that. They cannot get rid of it. But your DM will. Your DM will, okay? They will heal as you heal. It's very important for you to know these things. In tribal cultures, what used to happen, according to Joseph Campbell, was that the young boy would be taken away from the mother and gone through rituals in the tribe to be able to become a man. And this no longer happens, right? So therefore, in society, we just have a lot of lost boys who haven't become real men. The DMs are like that, soulmates, other people all around. We have a society crisis. Peter Pan syndrome is actually increasing. Psychologically stunted men. Fewer boys are becoming real men in their masculine energy. Fewer girls are becoming real women in their feminine energy. So it's to do with the energy within, okay? And this results in that Neverland fantasy world. It grows stronger. So unchecked, if you don't check this behavior, the pure Arturnus, it leads to hedonism, depravity, all these things that are happening. And then what results is politically you'll get the rise of certain tyrants or Hitler-like figures who want to like bring order again into society to balance out that extremity. Okay, and that's why it can cause loads of problems. There we go. So the hedonistic drive of Peter Pan makes him an easy target. He has submitted to his impulses and has become addicted to the work, video games and sex and stuff like that. And that allows forces that be, governments or dark forces, to control them. Okay, totalitarian regimes in society can take over. So how do you break free from this? How can the DMs break free? It's not easy. It requires the man or the woman to look into their internal energy without leaking it outside. Instead of looking outside, go within. Instead of looking for attention, validation, go within. Instead of having addictions and sexual attractions and prostitutes and all that pornography, go within. Instead of the pleasures and fantasies, go within. Okay? Forget about the world, you go within. And basically, you look at your inner child, okay? You look at your inner child, you look at the safety, you look at the way in which you can actually psychologically reparent yourself so that you put your parents as normal people and you go within and you reparent yourself, your inner child, to remove all those restrictions and bondages placed upon you by your parents, okay? You have to reclaim the DMs go through this through their ego deaths. Okay, so all these trials and tribulations they go through, the hero's journey, it's their ego deaths. And even though they hate boundaries, they basically have to learn to be safe in their own world rather than in the fantasy that they're living in. So they have to heal the inner child and get rid of all the pain and the rage and the addictions. They have to self-parent, you know, and if they can't heal certain things, just accept them. Become self-contained, autonomous, actually become a adult, okay? Discipline, so those boundaries, discipline, control, accountability, honesty, responsibility, self-contained, learning to be your own master. You know, those struggling with addictions like sex and drugs, bring that into balance, your impulses. You know, get therapy, any leaking of energy, like get all that resolved and sorted. So the DMs must break free from all these toxic. Yeah. So another thing that I wanted to mention before I go to questions is, you know, we give the DMs quite a hard time, but we're doing it too as DFs. We have to heal the feminine template on Earth. And the feminine template is not as distorted. Yes, it's been suppressed, but there's always that unconditional love and connection to spirit and source, maybe a little bit easier. But the masculine template on Earth is very distorted, okay? So the DMs have to shed all of that as well. So for them, it's quite a big task to get rid of all the toxic templates and bring the new divine masculine templates on Earth. But they can do it. And as a twin flame, you will do it, whether you like it or not. Right. Are there any questions? I know this is quite a long live and I've kind of talked about quite a few things, but let's see, because last time someone says, oh, I have a question, and you don't do any questions in the live. So I'll do questions if you've got any questions. I gave quite a lot of information out there, new information, interesting maybe. But do you have any questions? Hey, their problem. You look like Ranbir Kapoor. Thank you. People say that, but he's a lot more skinnier faced. I think my face is a bit fatter. We are happy to have you, Manny. You ground all the spirituality madness. My ex-bestie did the same. They lied about messages from spirit. People are rotten. Okay, what else? It's so hard to be able to see through all the bullshit. Yes, being on the leading edge of life, it's lonely, but we are all there together, aren't we? Okay? It clicks that all the signs are there, but for me, it was too much for the DM. I don't think there's any questions. I think you're all flabbergasted by the content. Okay. When your twin flame decide to stay on a different relationship and it's his choice and we have nothing to do about it. Yeah, they're learning. They're on their lesson path. You have to allow them to do it that way because it's not a relationship. It's a connection. It's different. A different way in which it operates. Okay. Thank you. Someone said, hello. I don't think there's any questions, which is great because it was a very long energy. Lol, Manny, how I miss you and your bubbly energy. Or was it bubbly? Even though I was like talking about how I was triggered on the boat and all the men and all this and that and the other. Oh, Lord. You know, I'm naturally a happy person. And I think that's something to do Mintaka. People from Mintaka. So me and my twin are from Mintaka. He's also the same, I think. I think he is very happy and comedic. Also my childhood, always been a happy person. Distortion, women and men are equal. The truth is always simple. We don't absorb the distortions of our parents. You know, we do. That's why we have all the traumas that we're trying to get rid of. But generally, your soul family grow with you. Generally, not always, but they have to do their work. Okay. But when you sleep with someone, you can take a lot of their energy as well. Okay. So obviously, you don't sleep with your family members and stuff. That's different. But it's soulmates. Okay. Any other questions? What are some of the clues that you've met your twin flame? Oh my God, that's such a basic question. Why are you asking a basic question, Mystique? Are you new to the channel, Mystique Nicole? Watch the playlist, What is Your Twin Flame, on YouTube. I don't think we need to get into that. Very shortly, Kundalini Awakening, telepathy, dreams, signs, synchronicities, higher self visitations, time stopping, Hieros Gamos, tantric sex, Kundalini, I said that, didn't I? You can't forget them, ego deaths, dark night of soul, ascension, seeing their higher self, seeing your spirit babies, time stopping, going in an alternate third dimension reality, lots of different things. A lot of things though, not just a few signs, like thousands of times a day on another level, and you will ascend. When the DM closes his heart, it hurts my heart chakra. What can I do? Thanks for the information. You have to love yourself. You have to pour love into your heart and become love. And they change too. What if the DF and DM within have balanced? Well, if they're balanced, then you'll be really happy, right? You'll be living a very peaceful, grounded, joyful life. I live that and it's great. And you don't really give a rat's ass and you're happy. I dreamt about our child, but I feel like he is pulling away because of whatever happened in the last 4 months. And I'm so confused and don't know what to do. How do I go forward? Surrender all your confusion and allow it to be and work out as it's got to, because it's not in your control and you don't need to worry. You trust God. Yep, a lot of it. Lol. Thank you. Signs of their name everywhere. Anyway, it's been a very long life. The Lost Boys. I'm back in the UK. We are going to Bali. We're going to Bali in September, October, November, December, hopefully, and January. I think my DM will come if he does. He'll teach you how to play volleyball. He's great. And it's going to be fun. Loads of retreats next year as well. Let's do it. And my book's coming out soon. See you later.